Reduce, reuse, and recycle. That is the phrase of the day. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. That is the phrase of the day. Hey guys, welcome back to your Chapter 6, Section 2 Environmental Solutions video. It's me, Mr. Lewis. Did you like my air guitar? My air guitar is always so cool. All right, it's me, Mr. Lewis, back here again with you. There on your screen, you have your bell ringer. Go ahead and read it, and you know what to do. Post it up there on edmodo.com. All right, you guys have a good time with that. Here we go. We'll get started. There we go. Our objectives. Today we're going to explain the importance of conservation. Describe the three R's, and explain how biodiversity can be maintained. And lastly, we'll list 5 environmental strategies for you to do. All right, here we go. Go ahead and get started. Ladies and gentlemen, we talk about environmental solutions. First off, last section, we talked about environmental problems and the things that we have out there that are issues that we need to solve. Today, we're talking about the solutions. We're not going to talk about the problems. Today, we're talking about solutions. So first thing, when we talk about environmental solutions is conservation. We have to really pay attention to conservation and what we use, how we use the products that we have, the resources that we have. Conservation is the preservation and wise use of our natural resources. So we need to pay attention to that. We need to understand that, we're not the only ones that's going to live on the earth. There's people who are going to live after us, your kids and your kids' kids and your kids' 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 kids. They're going to be living on the earth as well. And if we use up all those natural resources now, they won't have any of those things in the future. All right. So we don't want a world like that, like the Lorax, where there are no real trees, where you have all fake trees. We want a world where people could see real trees. Now, conservation helps us reduce the amount of waste that we have and reduce the amount of pollution that we have, and it helps protect habitats, all right? So we don't destroy habitats. Now, when we talk about conservation, there are 3 R's of conservation. You have reduce, reuse, recycle. So those are three of the things we'll be talking about today. We'll first start off over here with this picture. If you guys look at this picture here, you guys see reduce, reuse, recycle. Now, you can get kind of an idea. What do you think she's doing here to reduce? That's right. She's using this she's using this canvas bag instead of plastic bags. What is she doing for reuse? You're right again. She's getting rid of old clothes. Instead of throwing them away in the garbage, she's actually donating them to some charity organization or something. And what about this gentleman over here? It's probably pretty obvious. He is recycling those plastic bottles that look like a milk jug there. All right, so let's talk about reduce first. When we talk about reducing, what we're talking about is reducing the amount of waste and pollution that we have. All right, so we have to be able to think about reducing that amount. Now, back in the old days, people used to make products and real big packagings. I'll give you an example. When I was a kid, CDs used to come in packages that were about this big, and there was all kinds of plastic and paper and cardboard and everything else wrapped around the CD that was about this big, when in reality the CD was only going to be about that big, but all the other space there was taken up with natural resources, with paper, with cardboard, with plastic, that kind of stuff. So manufacturers decided, hey, we have to reduce the amount of waste that we have, the amount of materials that we're using. So now they just start making CDs with the plastic cellophane tape around them, cellophane wrapping around them, and that's it. Instead of having this great big old box of cardboard and paper and stuff to waste, because all you're going to do is take that and throw that away. So instead of having all that in the landfill, now all you have is a little plastic cellophane wrapper that goes on the outside of those CDs. All right. Now we also have to reduce the amount of non-renewable resources we have. So we're talking about reduce the amount of fuel that we use by using cars that are hybrid cars that could get 5 billion miles per gallon and stuff like that, instead of like my Jeep that gets like 10, 15, 20 miles per gallon, not 20, about between 15 and 18 miles per gallon. We can, instead of using vehicles like that, we could use vehicles that get 35, 40, 50 miles per gallon and stuff. That reduces the amount of non-renewable resources we have, as well as using nuclear power plants instead, and wind energy and solar energy and hydroelectric energy instead of the coal-fired power plants. All right, so we can do those different things to help us reduce the amount of non-renewable energies resources that we use. We talk about reusing, all right? We talk about using products or taking products that we have and actually reusing those products. So in that picture we saw, that girl was donating clothes. Hey, I love Goodwill just like everybody else loves Goodwill. You can go in there and buy all those clothes and stuff for pretty cheap inside Goodwill. Well, that is an example of reusing, because in the past what you would do is you'd wear some clothes, you find you didn't like them, you'd throw them away. Okay, people have garage sales, and people donate those stuff to, Goodwill or to the Salvation Army or whoever they donate that stuff to, and it gets reused. It gets sold off and reused again. So that's one less of that type of product that has to be made now. Also, reusing water is another thing that we can do. Now, you probably don't think about this. You probably don't want to have a bucket underneath your sink and every time you wash your hands, go ahead and drink that water. That's probably not a good thing to do. But if you had a big 55-gallon barrel at the end of your downspouts at your house, it'd catch all the rainwater coming off your roof. You could turn around and use that rainwater as water for your gardens and stuff, instead of using the water from the faucet, which requires us to have to send it through the filtration plants and all that kind of stuff. We can reuse that water that nature has provided right off your roof. Organizations like golf courses do that as well. They use that reclaimed water, that recycled water, to water their golf courses instead of using the city water and stuff to do that kind of stuff. So we can reuse water and reuse these products and stuff to help out our environment. We also have recycle. Recycle is simply the fact of taking a material and using it again. Okay, for something else. All right, so we take that milk jug that you saw in that picture there. That boy put that milk jug in there. That company that's going to pick up that blue bucket, then they take it over to the recycling plant. They shred it up and then they melt it back down into plastic and they're able to reuse it again. All right, so that's recycling. They recycle trash that way. Also recycling natural resources and stuff. So you can see here it talks about waste being burned. There are some power plants that take garbage and burn that garbage to create electricity and stuff. So they're using, instead of using coal or using wood or anything else, they're using that garbage to actually create electricity as well. So that is another way that we can recycle. Now, again, we're going to talk about biodiversity. Now, it's important that we pay attention to biodiversity. It's important that we protect our environments. The United States government thought it was so important that they created an act called the Endangered Species Act, because when we're protecting our environment, we're actually protecting species as well. And there's some species that have been hunted to extinction. There's some species that have just died off due to extinction. And the Endangered Species Act puts those species that are endangered of becoming extinct, they put them on this list so that those species can be protected, so that those species don't die off. A while ago, the American bald eagle was one of those species on the endangered species list. Well, guess what? It's made a huge resurgence because we protected those eagles now, so they're able to reproduce. And now we have it's one of the success stories of the Endangered Species Act, because it is now a very good organism, I guess. So along with protecting those species, we have to protect those environments that those species live in as well, those habitats. Because if we just protect the species, but don't protect the habitat, the species can't live very long, because the habitat is what it needs for its food and for its shelter and that kind of stuff as well. So we have to protect both of those things when we talk about maintaining biodiversity. Now, there are 5 strategies that we can use to help us with environmental strategies to help us protect our environment. We can reduce the amount of pollution that is out there. We can reduce the amount of pesticide use out there. We can protect habitats. We can learn about local issues and stuff. Like for us, driving down in the Gulf, if you guys go down in there and you have the garbage, you take in your water bottle, your soda bottle, your candy wrappers and stuff. When you get done with those products, put them back on your ride, on your four-wheeler, and bring it back out with you. Don't leave it down there on the ground out there, because it's not going to go away. It just makes the environment down there trashed, okay? And we don't want to do that. We want to be able to ride those environments. Your kids, you love riding down there, and your kids will love riding down there. But if it's dirty down there, no one's going to want to go down there. So learn about local issues and how to protect local issues. And, of course, need to develop alternative energy sources as well. On the next slide, you're going to see a whole bunch of things, 19 different things right here that you can do to help the environment. There's all kinds of things that you can do, even as an 8th grader, that you can do to turn around and help our environment. All right, and it's not just you; it's me as well. It's all of us as a community. It's all of us as a nation. It's all of us as a race or as a population. All of us need to do these types of things to help protect our environment. We can give away old toys instead of just throwing the toys away. Give them away or sell them in yard sales. We can use recycled paper. When you guys buy that paper, that notebook and stuff for school, make sure it has recycled paper in there, because if it has recycled paper, that's less trees that had to be cut down to make that paper. Fill up both sides of a sheet of paper. Don't just write on one tiny corner and say, okay, it's garbage, throw it away. Use that whole sheet of paper. So there's other things. Walk, ride a bicycle, or use public transportation. Now, we don't have public transportation, but you can walk or ride a bicycle to get places instead of riding in cars all the time. So all these different things are things that you can do to help with the environmental problems that we have, and that would make you an environmental solution instead of an environmental problem, and me as well. All right, next is our review time. It's time for the review. So go ahead and read your review here, your section review for 6.2, and I'll be quiet for a minute. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. It was a nice short video, the 6.2 section review. And remember, I'll be seeing you in the future.